just arrived here after a grueling 4 days, 144 miles run, charity run for the Steve Prescott Foundation and the Warrington Wolves Foundation, handing over the match ball, which will be teed up in preparation for this intriguing match. All sorts of subplots to this weekend, as Eddie has said, such jostling and shoving for position in this Super League table. The Catalan Dragons not far away from us, watching from on high, one of their rivals at the top of the table, the Warrington Wolves, going into action against the Castleford Tigers side, who must be in good heart after what they did to the Leeds Rhinos last time out. But by the same token, the Warrington Wolves will have had a rocket after their performance at Wakefield last time out, so a lot on the line for these two sides in a beautiful, beautiful scenario here at St James's Park.
Well, a good start, a good first up game from Widnes and Salford. Warrington versus Castleford, they'll want to do the same. We talked about the battle of the halves in that first game. I think this is the battle of the edges. Benjamin Julian, Toby King, they've got a lot on with Ben Cripps and Joel Monahan.
Joel Monahan operating in the centres for the Castleford Tigers. There he was, taking the tackle, and then Luke Gale putting the first high kick in, and Gene Ormsby, well, he'll welcome that touch. A nice, careful catch, pouched his first touch of the game.
Well, Joel Monahan in the left centre position where he was last week at Leeds. Him and Dennis Solomon were prolific in attack, and it wouldn't surprise me if Castleford certainly shift the ball to them as often as possible, particularly when it comes to high kicks at the end of the set.
Well, potentially two of the really most attractive attacking sides in the competition, without any disrespect to other teams who fancy themselves in that respect, but certainly on form this season. Warrington and Castleford fit the bill in that respect. Here is Ratchford back in action for the Warrington Wolves. Now Ben Curry, who was operating the halves last week against Wakefield, but Ratchford in possession, and in possession of that position, hoists the kick, and similarly a good first catch for Luke Dawn.
Good take from Luke Dawn. He almost made a mistake from the kick-off, but confidently leaps up, pouches that ball, and Paddy Flynn trying to start the momentum. All kinds of traffic in front of him, catches the ball.
Really interesting conversation with Darryl Powell earlier this afternoon when the Castleford Tigers got here and they went out for a look around as referee Gareth Ewer blows for a penalty. Darryl Powell saying that this stadium is unlike anything that a lot of players will have experienced, because it's so claustrophobic. There's so much pressure on you throughout the game, and it can get to some players and just unnerve them a little bit.
A lot of athletes performing on a bigger stage usually leads to a personal best. Both these teams hoping to have a season best, because to win they'll probably have to be at their very best. Dennis Solomon there just awarded a penalty. Does he score tries? It's so difficult for players to tackle and control. Very often they concede, and that's of course helped Castleford to get up into a better attacking position.
Grant Millington, and then Milner shapes to go left, goes right in the end, and Ben Roberts, they'll be glad to see him back, but they won't be glad to see that pass go to ground. And Ratchford now, has Ratchford got the legs? I think he has. He'll get the first try of the game. The ball went to ground, and Warrington Wolves pounced, but Gareth Ewer going to the video ref.
Well, Bill, he's going to be asked to check some contact with Paddy Flynn. Paddy Flynn was chasing back and didn't look to be making any indentation into Stephen Ratchford's lead. And he tangled with a returning Warrington player, stayed on the ground. I think Gene Ormsby was the contact with him. We see the ball shifted left to right. Ben Roberts' pass goes to the ground. Ratchford's first to react, and it's Paddy Flynn you need to watch. There's a bit of a contact there with Ormsby. No problems with that so far.
Is that the contact they're looking at, Stuart?
No, it's further on, Barry. It's progressed a lot further.
Here's the play. Goes out to the right side for Castleford. Goes behind, but in front of Luke Dawn. Ben Crooks, he slips.
I think that's limited there. It's further on here, Barry. It's where Paddy Flynn ends up on the ground. Just keep watching and watch Flynn in the top left-hand corner. There.
Is that a little trip?
It's not, Brian. That's one to no one. That's a winger's perspective.
Some nasty stuff going on up here off the ball.
I think there is some contact there, but I don't think there's anything deliberate in it. I think it's just a coming together. I think this try will be awarded.
Nathan Ratchford back in the side, having missed the game at Wakefield last week. He gets his 4th try of the season and his 50th in all for the Warrington Wolves.
Well, Steph Ratchford, he has pace and he has a poacher's instinct. As soon as that ball is on the floor, he knows what he wants to do. He thinks about passing the ball onto Gene Ormsby, keeps hold of it, scores the try. Will 4 become 6?
Tony Smith be satisfied with the way that his side turned that opportunity into points. Oh, and 2 more denied by the uprights. Ratchford wasn't to be denied though.
Well, Castleford love to pass the ball. We've all commented on the tries they score with the wingers. But I suppose if the ball goes to ground, you need to be able to get back and recover. None of them capable of stopping Stephen Ratchford. The Wolves certainly missed him last week. There's no lack of enthusiasm from the Wolves. They've got off to a great start. Neither Flynn nor Gale close him down. They made the kick a little harder. Gidley surprisingly missed.
Warrington lead by 4 points to nil early on in this game. Now here's Ben Westwood. Warrington boasting the best attack in Super League, the meanest defence, the perfect combination to lead the field, which they do, but only on points difference from a Catalan Dragons side who are anticipating a tough game against Wakefield tomorrow. 2 of the form sides in the competition at the moment, given their current runs. Meanwhile, here are the Wolves again, and again looking very threatening, just over the halfway line. Here is Ormsby, back from his loan spell. Kevin Penny not selected, and Ratchford hoists that one. Dawn comes across, collects it. Eyes on the ball.
Well, he's shown he can be safe at one end of the field. Last week he scored 3 tries in 30 minutes against the trebles champions from last season. Of course, he knows he needs to defend. And Luke Gale, one of the mistakes Castleford had last week, 2 or 3 breaks, not enough support. Need to push up if that happens again.
Quick play the ball, and then Ben Crooks continues, and Warrington trying to slow things down with Ashton Sims making the tackle. Roberts darting and weaving right in the centre circle, centre square to be precise. Not even a square. Back come the Warrington Wolves with Matty Russell. Good defence from Castleford.
Good effort, extra effort, not allowing Matty Russell to go to ground and try and play the ball at his pace. Tom Line and me trying to do likewise.
The 2 wingers, the full-back and the winger rather, getting involved, and then the penalty. That speed at the play of the ball, catching Castleford Tigers.
Well, it was missing last week, it isn't today here. Fast play of the balls are exactly what the Warrington team love. They roll forward, their opponent's still in reverse as you see the ball's picked up. They're offside on this occasion. But players like Matthew Russell at fullback, Darryl Clark, they're just hoping for that fast service to set off out the blocks with his teammates alongside him.
Very early days in this game, but Warrington certainly having the better of it, and they've got that 1 try to their name so far. Here's Ashton Sims. Offloads to Ratchford. Ratchford all wrapped up by the Tigers defenders.
Ben Crooks, 10 metres.
Just about 10 metres inside. Sims manages to get the pass away.
Well, that's the 3rd time he's offloaded it, and the 3rd time he's just flung it. He's going to have to be careful there, Ashton Sims.
Chris Hill now. And again, Gareth Ewer penalising Castleford.
Well, Bill, I got to point out, he's bringing them back in very Big Ten. I mean, it's like Carl Kirkpatrick's refereeing again. Look where Gareth Ewer is standing compared to play the ball. Stuart, he's asking them for 14, 15 metres as opposed to 10. We're going off the markings on the pitch.
Well, the referee stands as a guide for the players, so it's up to them to get back to him. I'm sure he'll get his 10 metres sorted.
Ratchford, opportunity for Warrington now with Ben Westwood. Westwood a couple of metres out. Will this Castleford Tigers defence right on their own try line? Feet on the line, says the referee. They were just about that. Go in again! And another try for Gidley. And Gidley slicing through, and Warrington running hot here. Kurt Gidley gets his 5th try of the campaign, and what a start it is from the Wolves. For those back-to-back penalties, was it back-to-back penalties that left Castleford dumbfounded. Gidley making his points.
Well, the Tigers becoming their own worst enemies at the minute. They need to get back on side, whether it's 10, 12, 14 or 15. They're right on the goal line at the minute. Too many players going sideways, unable to make that tackle. That should be dealt with so close to the line. Adam Milner, who's normally a very comprehensive defender, he fails in his assignment. And Warrington score their 2nd try, and field position will be key. I talked about the battle of the centres, but I really enjoy watching Ben Curry, Ben Westwood, 2 very contrasting players, and on the other side Mike McMeekin, who's one of the most improved players in the league, and the very destructive, powerful Junior Moores.
Kurt Gidley appearing in his first Magic Weekend match, scoring his first Magic Weekend try. His brother Matt played in 2 of these games for St Helens. So he hit the post with his first kick, and no problem this time round. What a start this is from the Warrington Wolves.
Well, champion teams need the big players to make the best decisions at the right time, and Kurt Gidley does that. He knows he doesn't need to pass the ball, there's no more risk needed. He can one-on-one beat the opponent, get over the line to score a 2nd try. Very good start for Warrington, and somehow Darryl Powell and his team here now, when they're tackling, don't just need to make a tackle, somehow try if they can to get a little bit better control of the man with the ball and gain some control of that ruck area.
Warrington went into this game with the best attack in Super League, 75 tries, so they've added another 2 to that tally already. And Castleford Tigers haven't had time to draw breath, really. Their indiscipline has cost them, and they trail 10-0 with 10 minutes on the board.
Indiscipline and poor tackle technique. They're not controlling the ruck speed of Warrington, and Phil's bang on. That game last week involving Wakefield, they were beaten on every facet, every aspect of the game, and they look like they've worked really hard on the speed of the game and the control at the ruck. Looks like there's an injury from Nathan Massey.
Yeah, Nathan Massey having treatment on the run, but he's a tough cookie. This is the guy who's come back rapidly from a dislocated knee. But what about this from Ratchford? Ratchford, he had Russell on one side, he's gone to the other for Ormsby, and the ball will run dead. It promised so much from Ratchford. Maybe if he looked the other way, Russell was the better option.
The bounce of a ball, I said it in the last game, it can make you look foolish. It was a wonderful break, lovely little chip and chase from Stephen Ratchford. He wants to put it on the left side, and the bounce of a ball just let him down.
Bounce of a ball, Barry, away from being one of the great Super League tries you'll ever see. That's phenomenal, to kick and regather for himself, and then have presence of mind to note where his attacking support is and put a ball in that area. As you said, it was just that devilish bounce of a ball.
Some of the best tries come, don't they, when the best players are given no time. They're harassed on the last play, and they just do it instinctively. Castleford slowly trying to work their way back into it with McMeekin. Don't forget, Leeds scored the first try last week, even though the Tigers went away with a massive win at Headingley. They're a team who won't fall over.
Warrington in this sort of mood are the sort of side that don't take their foot off the neck. Here you go, this is Ratchford's break.
Well, it's a lovely piece of skill. First of all, he chips it over the defensive line. He knows where he wants it to bounce, or know where he wants it to be, and the bounce just lets him down.
Left foot chip, right foot kick. That's how talented that man is.
And Ormsby was close to finishing that off, and Warrington coming again. And Castleford really struggling to get some sort of grip on this game. Here's Curry. Gidley now. That ball goes backwards. Russell collects. Has time to size up the chance, and still has time to get the pass away to Westwood, and Westwood thundering forwards. Just short of that try line, Ben Westwood. Darryl Clark was ready to pounce, but instead the whistle blows, and it's another penalty. Dawn pleads his innocence. Gareth Hewer spotted another infringement.
Beautiful offload from Matty Russell to send Benny Westwood, who's celebrating that new deal with the Warrington Wolves. He almost gets over.
There is Darryl Clark, once the Castleford Tigers' favourite. Westwood, quick hands from him. That time it didn't come off, and Russell couldn't collect the pass. Castleford couldn't capitalise.
It's a great attacking play that are almost impossible to defend against when you pass the ball out towards the sideline and then back towards the midline of the pitch. The pass doesn't find Russell, and just luckily it stays at 10-0. 16 becomes a very big hill for the Tigers to work their way back from, as Ben Westwood is hauled out. The Tigers literally clinging on at the moment.
That's it, Matty.
They'll at least have head and feed, but they're deep inside their own half, and they've got some work to do to get out of trouble. Here is Solomona. Junior Morse, beg your pardon, who was playing the ball. Now Danny Tickle in the starting lineup because of Lon Patrick's unavailability, failed a late fitness test. So Tickle makes his first start for his new club. Here is McMeekin. 3 in the tackle for the Wolves. Ratchford everywhere at the moment. And Crooks appealing for their first penalty of the game. There's a Warrington hand in there.
Ball's been played out. From Westwood. He pounces on the ball. But the width and the size of this pitch.
Difference in plan here though between the two teams. Warrington, they're just passing or running from action half-back to get downfield. The Tigers trying to pass the way out of their own half, wanting to attack from deep. Two different styles, one team working at the moment.
The point I was going to make about the size of the pitch, Warrington are going forward, then looking to play off the back of that, and you're right, Castleford are just trying anything and everything to beat this strong defence of the Wolves.
Well, it's Castleford in possession now. They've just looked to complete a set of 6. Dawn, though, throws a wide pass out to Solomona, and across comes the cover, and it's good defence from the Warrington Wolves. They know the threat that Denny Solomona poses.
Brilliant defence, it's a good ball. You think Denny Solomona has half an inch, but the Frenchman and his teammates, they just barrel the player off the edge of the pitch.
I think this is where we'll disagree, Phil. I know you're going to tip your hat to what you think is exciting play. I'm thinking when you're under the pressure Castleford are under, Denny Solomona has taken the wrong option in trying to beat them on the outside.
I've come here though this weekend to be entertained, and you see spectacular tries by wingers where they outpace their opponents. That's what I want to see. It has to go wrong sometimes. It went wrong there for the Tigers.
I'm not going to reply. I have my opinion and I've expressed it.
You need the fun police to visit you, Brian. You're killing this game.
Get the scrum formation tidy, heads in. Come on.
Head and feet to the Warrington Wolves. 30 metres out. Here is Benjamin Julien wearing his psychedelic scrum cap. And the Wolves will come again. The Super League leaders. It's with Toby King, this 19-year-old from the Huddersfield area, former Meltham All Black. Ormsby was in that part of the world on loan not so long ago.
Very conservative set there from Warrington, isn't it? They've not done a lot, they've kept the ball. Look, just go forward, take the ground. If there's space, they'll throw the pass.
And now they will maybe look to open up a little bit, but that's the 5th tackle as Julien goes down. And little chip from Gidley, the ball's still loose, and Ratchford was chasing for it. And it's a knock-on, says referee Gareth Hewitt.
The chips are proving very fruitful. Warrington, there you go. Grant Millington, he's trying to get hold of it. There's a knock-on somewhere.
I didn't think it was Grant Millington. I thought he made a clumsy effort to try and get the ball. If you just see Grant Millington go down,
but he's facing his own line.
Absolutely. I can't see how Grant Millington just knocked it on.
Well, his ruled he has knocked on. So clearly we can see there that he hasn't. The knock-on was the second one. Now, whether he'll get a call from the video referee, I'm not so sure.
Tell you what, this is a huge set in this game. For the Castleford Tigers, they'll feel aggrieved. They're 10 points down and trying to defend their own line. Massive pressure.
No input from the video ref, Richard Silverwood, on that one. And Toby King, oh, the pass to Ormsby, just dipping by his toes, anguish on his face.
Oh, that could turn out to be the game breaker when John Wells looks back at this match. 10 points to 0. If the Tigers force their way back into the game and end up winning it, there was an opportunity there to make it 14, possibly 16. They didn't turn the half chance into 4 points. Castleford will be relieved, mightily relieved here now to survive.
When you've been defending, Bill, more or less non-stop for 17 minutes, you haven't had the ball, you're trying to come off your own line, you've got to try and speed the game up. You've got to find energy to try and take some juice out of this Warrington side, because they're doing things very comfortably at the moment. They're getting numbers in the tackle, they're defending well, they're dominating and slowing the play of the ball down. Castleford are the ones who've got to speed the game up when they have the ball.
And it's got to be draining this for the Castleford Tigers, because they have been on the receiving end as the penalty is awarded, and ironic cheer from the Tigers supporters as the penalty goes their way. It's been a rarity so far in this game.
Big Junior Moores, he's trying to run into the teeth of the defence, flops that ball backwards. The penalty was a lucky one, I feel. It's a poor decision to turn round and offload that ball. Cass, they get possession.
One more game to come on this first day of the Magic Weekend. What a match to round things off. The treble winners, the champions, Leeds against Wigan, 7 o'clock. That's still to come on Sky Sports 3. Rounding off what's been a great day. Beautiful weather, much better than a lot of people anticipated. I think it is actually quite warm out there. It must be, as I said, draining for the players, and especially for the Castleford Tigers players who've had to do a lot of defending in this game. This is a rare bit of attacking for them.
Well, they haven't had any ball in either opponent's line, and they're trying to work their way. I guess the kick perhaps at the end of this. Maybe tackles left, one more after this.
As Matt Cook plays the ball, here's Millington now, Castleford. Conservative set of 6 here, getting to the kick, and Gale under pressure puts too much on that, and Lynham claims the ball and brings it back for a tap on the 20.
We can see from the expression on Luke Gale's face, he knows that was a poor kick to put in. He didn't have enough time, didn't get the kick away he wanted, and it's a poor result off the back of it.
Give Ben Curry a bit of credit, put them under tremendous pressure.
Warrington doing everything right so far, and they've got the points on the board to show for it. 10-0 they lead. Gidley. Here is Chris Hill making his 63rd consecutive appearance. Solid performer he is. Westerman now. Clark gets the pass away to Westwood, scoops it up off his toes, and great strength from Ben Westwood, and almost managed to get the pass away until the Tigers stopped his progress. And Gidley hoists the kick. Ben Crook's underneath that one, the ball is loose, he's just managed to deal with it.
He was under all kinds of pressure when he collected that ball. Some fabulous stuff from Warrington. Ben Westwood with his leg strength. There we go, Toby King. He's all over Ben Crooks, who just manages to keep hold of the ball.
Fabulous player, right, Barry, from Warrington at the end of the set. It's finishing with this kick, this attempted catch, but at the start, it's simple. 2 runs from dummy half, 1 out carry from a prop, and they're well over the halfway line from a 20-metre tap. If you're Castleford Tigers player and coach, that's just too easy for the opposition.
Just to say, that was a goal line dropout because he didn't catch the ball. He actually dropped it and grounded the ball in goal. So that's why we've got the goal line dropout, not the 20-metre restart.
Which was performed by Ben Roberts, back in the side for his first appearance since early March for the Castleford Tigers. They really were well. Oh, that was forward. Surely that's forward. It is.
Yeah, you're right, Bill.
Touch judge and referee communicating there.
Stephen Ratchford, he wants to give early ball to these edge players I keep talking about. He misses 2 out. Ben Curry, I think, screaming, I want the ball. Goes to Gene Ormsby, that's clearly forward. Holds his hand up. That's not good enough. Very dominant opening quarter from the Warrington Wolves.
The Wolves chastened by their experience at Wakefield last time out. Coaching partnership, Richard Agar and Tony Smith. A lot happier with the evidence of this so far.
Looks like something from a Clint Eastwood movie, Tony, doesn't he? With the beard and the check shirt. Hang him high.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
Castleford Tigers with Luke Gale, and Gale, well, he's already performed one of those runs that caught the Warrington defence, and he gets the penalty. Westwood delaying his progress there.
Well, he's dealt with by the two big players, the prop and the second row. Westwood and Hill, they've got hold of him, they force him on his back, but just too tangled, too long. The referee, Gareth Huey, blows his whistle.
There is Ben Westwood, 34 years of age, in his 18th Super League season, and he's just as competitive as ever he was. I don't think you'll ever take that away from him. Here is Gadwin Springer.
Got a great try last week at Leeds. Just powered through the defence.
You could do with some of that. Matt Cook now, and Sir Cook building up a bit of steam. This is the closest the Castleford Tigers have been to that Warrington try line. McShane is on, short ball, and the pass didn't come off. Millington, I think it was trying to get, it was Junior Moore trying to get back, but it's come up again. McMeekin, quick hands on, and Ben Crooks in his anxiety couldn't gather the ball, but in fact I think Gareth here will bring it back to an earlier infringement. No? Was that the knock on?
Doesn't appear so.
No, I think he's played on from that. He didn't see an infringement by Warrington.
Well, here's the offload. Junior Moores, he throws the ball, it goes backwards, and if there's a player in the Castleford shirt that's going to change the game, mix it up, it's Paul McShane. He needs somebody to push up in support of him. Unfortunately, the pass is a loose one, and Ben Crooks gives possession over to Warrington.
And that was probably the best opportunity that Castleford have had.
Be crying out to Castleford, show a little bit of composure here as they're attacking the Warrington line. A bit of possession, a bit of territory, and they're just a little panicky in their play. 10-0 is very doable, Bill. 23 minutes gone on the clock and you haven't had the ball, but Warrington score next, and I think you'd see a long day for Castleford.
Well, Warrington they hit them with those early points, and they were 10-0 up before the 10-minute mark. So in that respect, Castleford have managed to dent their progress.
Well, if you think about it, one was a breakaway try, the other one a one-on-one miss when Kirk Gidley went over. So they've not been that bad, even though in terms of meters and breaks and control, it's been clearly the Warrington team who've had this.
And Castleford have penalised again as Matty Russell went on a run.
Well, Phil's already talked about Matty Russell and his kick returns, his footwork, so difficult to handle. The minute he hits the floor, his elbows touch the floor, he's trying to get up, and Grant Millington for Castleford, he can't resist, he wants to buy an extra second and he gives possession away.
Joe Monaghan coming off the field, which would be an unusually early substitution for that player that would slot in at centre or wing for Castleford. So see what information comes back from the sideline, but with smack of an injury.
Big Jordan Cox now driving forward.
Cox takes Warrington very close to that Castleford Tigers try line. Clark pointing the way for his teammates. Gets the pass away to Gidley. Gidley scenting another maybe. The door is slammed in his face by Springer and Millington. Clark might fancy it himself. No, Ratchford on quickly. Russell trying to wriggle his way through, has lost the ball, and Webster, who is on the field in place of Joel Monaghan, comes up with it for the Castleford Tigers, and Millington goes on the burst, and now he's Dawn losing his footing.
Great play, wasn't it, to work the way away.
Those are the risks. There's a lot of reward, a lot of jeopardy involved in them, but they look, with a little bit of ball, they might be able to do something, Cass.
They're playing the ball quickly. Roberts and Crooks eager for the ball. Joe Westerman makes the tackle. McShane. Here is Springer again. Just over the halfway line. This set of 6 for the Castleford Tigers, the most purposeful set so far. But Gale again getting a lot of attention from this Warrington side. They're not giving him any space, and he was clobbered there, and Webster has to pick up the pieces.
Well, they did come off Darrell Clark. That's the reason why the pass went behind his teammate. They get 6 more plays. Brutal and bruising defence here from Warrington. Super Benny Westwood nearly cut him in 2.
McShane scoops the ball up. Junior Moores taking him on single-handedly. 2 tackles gone this set of 6. Solomona, Gale, here's Jake Webster. Didn't feature in the win against Leeds last week, Webster, so he'll be pretty fresh going into this one. Gale gets the pass away. Roberts. Good defence again from Warrington. The Tigers getting crowded out. Dawn, nowhere for him to go as Toby King makes the tackle. Paddy Flynn. Here is Millington. Millington trying to get an arm free to make the offload, but Westerman makes sure that doesn't happen. Gale is able to hoist the kick. Solomona will come for it, bats the ball down.
But all of it, Solomona.
It's gone forward, says the referee.
They're doing a really good job, Warrington, on the pivots. Ben Roberts and Luke Gale, as soon as they go to the line, they're trying to engage defenders. Here the high kick and regather from Denny Solomona. There's a mistake and a knock-on involved in there, but when Castleford have the ball again, watch how many times Luke Gale hits the deck because a defender is putting all kinds of pressure on him.
A more positive set of 6 from the Castleford Tigers, though.
Absolutely, Bill. I'm with it. Only staying at 10-0. I'll say it again. That's doable. But I'm seeing a response from the Warrington Wolves to their defeat to Wakefield Trinity Wildcats. Again, they were favourites to win. I'm seeing a response in their defence here. Of course, they're making some easy meters down the field, but the real evidence of a side that has been stung by the last performance is how Warrington are defending today. It's incredibly impressive as Ryan Bailey has a charge.
Ryan Bailey on for another debut. 32 years of age. And ironically, it was Darryl Powell, now the Castleford Tigers coach, who gave him his Super League debut for Leeds back in 2002.
We played 6 games last year. The Castleford Tigers. No nonsense. Mixes it up.
No nonsense.
He attracts everybody's attention, Ryan Bailey.
Including the referee.
Yeah. Tony Smith, who had him at Leeds during probably the most successful part of his career, an enjoyable part of his career, he feels he can get more out of him. 32, 33 years of age, he's still got plenty to offer. And the bench looked really strong for Warrington. Talk about Morgan Smith when he gets on, but a real prospect.
Coming up to the half-hour mark, Warrington leading by 10 points to 0. Those points all scored in the opening salvo, really, from the Wolves. Gadwin Springer now. The Castleford Tigers and Springer. Ratchford was hunting for that. McShane was alert for it as well, and a good job too. Roberts and Bailey in there to make the tackle. All over him, smothering him. McShane now. Here's Millington. Millington is able to get the pass away. Referee's called held. So Millington plays the ball, but they've lost momentum there. Not that they were getting much in the face of this Warrington defence. Cook, grimace on his face, he felt that, and Gale thumps that one downfield, but Russell safely underneath it to collect for the Warrington Wolves.
And that's the reward for a good defensive set. It's the third of as we go. There's a break.
Russell it is who collected the kick and has the support from Ben Curry. And what a finish this will be from Curry, but take your hat off to the fullback, Matty Russell, who collected that kick and unhinged the Castleford Tigers defence. And Ben Curry, credit to him, was on his shoulder in support to run in his 11th try of a very productive season. Now heads the Wolves' try-scoring charge, in fact, ahead of Kevin Kenny with that try.
I love watching Ben Curry play. His enthusiasm, his skill, his ability, his talent. But it's his speed that gets him to try in this one. And we've mentioned before, he's played in the centre, played in the second row, can play on the left or the right, and last week against Wakefield he played in the halves, but he just gets on the end of that break. Doesn't have much to do, but it's the awareness and the anticipation, and Matty Russell's kick returns, they're phenomenal. Nobody can deal with him, nobody can handle him. Whether they've exerted too much energy in the opening half an hour, I tend to believe that Matty Russell is too strong and too agile and too difficult to deal with.
Well, it was a difficult decision where Luke Gale was going to kick the ball, because after 30 minutes of the match, a kick return from Matthew Russell for any of your defenders is a very tough challenge. But I think asking him to move might have been a greater option. He kicked it where he was, hoping that he may come up with a mistake, but it wasn't to be, and you're inviting Matthew Russell to do what he does best.
So Kurt Gidley looking to extend the Warrington Wolves lead. When they met earlier in the season, back in March, the Warrington Wolves put 56 points on the Castleford Tigers. 10 tries they ran in. And Gidley just across the face of the posts. I wonder though if the Wolves are scenting a similar sort of feast on this Tigers defence.
I'm a big fan of Luke Gales. It's his responsibility to end the sets well for Castleford, but he kicked that ball in the hope that Russell would drop it, nothing else. And if that's all you've got, you're running out of ideas. Matty Russell catching a ball and returning it to you, there's few more dangers in the league, and Castleford were asking for trouble. Luke Gale, in his management of the end of a set, tackle 4, tackle 5, has got to come up with more options for himself and a better idea than just hoping the fullback will drop the ball.
And Brian, I was going to make the point, it's the third or fourth time that Castleford, while in possession, are only just making over 30 metres, and that's not enough to get some momentum.
Bailey plays the ball. I'll tell you what, there's some tough cookies in there. Bailey, Westwood,
there's some fast and skillful ones too, like Darryl Clark, although he's made a mistake and McMeekin has it.
McMeekin, Ratchford with the tackle. Gadwin Springer now. The Castleford Tigers need some positivity in the next few minutes, really, with half-time approaching. That ball going to ground. McMeekin it was who gathered it. Here is Cook now. Eventually brought down. About 20 metres out. Bang in front of the posts. Here is Gale now. Gale holding the pass up. Dawn over the top to Solomona, but again, Warrington's defence very good. Crowding him out. Julian among the tacklers. Gale slips and does well, actually, as Julian came flying in. Gale was still on the deck. McShane goes down the short side to Junior Moores, but Moores again. They're everywhere, the Warrington defenders just now.
Tremendous defence from the Wolves, loads of energy.
And Gale kicks cross field. Ben Cooks claims it. Millington is still on the last. Ben Roberts comes across the field. They come from one side to the other. Gets the pass away to Webster. Webster puts his foot to the ground. Gale, Springer. Springer, can he get the pass away? Springer does get the pass away. McMeekin up the door. What a try! What a try! From the Castleford Tigers and Luke Dawn. They would not let it die. And that's what makes it one of the most exciting sights to watch in this competition. Finished off by Luke Dawn, but virtually everybody else in the side had a hand in that. From forwards to three quarters. What about that?
Ben Crooks' catch, Barry, it was the start of everything.
Well, the Castleford Tigers, they've been behind for 33 minutes of this game. Ben Crooks, you're right, Brian. He catches it, touches the floor, passes it to a player in a better position, and from this point, the ad-lib of Castleford Tigers is really, really impressive. They've no energy, as we said, for 30 minutes they've been behind on everything, including the scoreboard. Mike McMeekin with an early ball for the player who scored a hat-trick last week.
Well, it's a kick for catch, 9 great passes in between, and the Tigers needed some magic to get themselves back into this game. They've found it here with one of the best tries I'm sure they'll score this season. Under pressures when players find what they've got, and Luke Dawn knows he can get over from that distance. He's made sure they've got the first 4 points.
This is the magic weekend, and that was magic from the Castleford Tigers.
Well, Phil Clark's been asking for entertainment throughout the day. You've got it there. That is a sensational rugby league try.
Well, it's a big weekend of sporting action of all shapes and forms, but you would do very well to see a better piece of action in any of the sports going on this weekend than that from the Castleford Tigers.
Against a side whose defence we have been complimenting for 33 minutes of this game. That's the magnitude of the effort that you've just seen from the Castleford Tigers.
And I think this Magic Weekend Stadium, this St James's Park ground, which is full of all sorts of colours of supporters, because fans from teams who are in action tomorrow are here as Gale gets it in off the uprights. Fans from all clubs were applauding this.
Well, it came to the last tackle. They tried 3 or 4 occasions on the left-hand side. They kicked wide to the right in the hope of getting over. And you thought when Crooks took it in, there was a chance on that side. You never knew they'd have to come all the way over to the left wing. Everybody involved, lots of different options before it eventually found its way back to where Ben Crooks originally caught it. Good hand, Springer does well, keeping the ball alive, flicks it out of the hand. McMeekin to Dawn. Crooks thinks he's going to score. He's not needed.
Luke Dawn, who announced his retirement after that fantastic performance against Leeds, the fact that he's hanging up his boots at the end of this season. 14-6 the scoreline as half-time approaches, and that's given a lift to the Castleford Tigers and served notice of what they are capable of. And Gadwin Springer, great input from the former Catalan player Gadwin Springer. Over the halfway line with Grant Millington.
Well, this will be a test here now to see whether Luke Gale can improve on his kicks previously. Wouldn't we want to gain ground and apply pressure?
This time Gale hoists it, and Russell and Lynham are underneath it. Lynham, who decided it was his ball.
Well, the winger and the fullback. I think on occasions like that you back your fullback, but Tom Lynham, he didn't read that script. They've got the ball. Tom Lynham had a limited involvement in this game so far, but I expect him to apply himself later in the second half. And that try really was probably one for the expansionists. It was set up, was a wonderful pass by Gadwin Springer and Mike McMeekin, 2 players not from the heartlands.
Yeah, Basingstoke born. I think Gadwin Springer has got a South American connection somewhere in his family as well. So an exotic creation. And here is Tom Lynham. We're saying we haven't seen much of him, and now off he goes. Back across the middle of the field. Oh, Ratchford, what skill from him as he scooped that pass up one-handed. Oh, and then Russell couldn't carry it on.
Well, that could have been another contender for the try of the weekend.
The fun police are in town, Phil.
Oh, they've got the message out. Don't worry about that. That's a fantastic catch from Stephen Ratchford. Go wide down the right. Now the Wolves starting to spread the ball as the half comes towards its conclusion. Great take with the left hand. He's looking for players around him. By the time he throws it to Russell, it's too low. There are Castleford men on him.
What about the hands? Stephen Ratchford, he catches it with one hand. And I think Matty Russell, if he catches that, it's obviously a try. It's a little bit
there are
different.
too many in front of him when Russell does catch it. Springer's one of them. He'd have to do pretty well to run straight through the 2.
It's not just the catch from Ratchford, it's the athleticism
He's got
as well.
lovely balance.
The way he got back on his feet.
He's got lovely balance. I think he's done his best.
But off they go now with Jake Webster, and Webster, Solomona couldn't quite get up in support in time. But could there be more points at the end of this first half? Harum scarum finish to the first 40 minutes here. Here is Dawn. McShane, calm down. Millington.
Oh,
They've got the numbers here. They have got the numbers. Junior Moore's going to get the pass away. Oh, wrong direction. Millington. Referee's wipe the tackle count clean, and Millington will go over. And what a finish in his first half. Castleford are fighting back. And another fantastically created try. Okay, maybe not as mesmerising as that previous one. But Grant Millington a puff of the cheeks, and Warrington so dominant have seen the Castleford Tigers hit them with 2 tries in the closing minutes of this first 40 minutes.
Well, it's a left of the field effort. It's Jake Webster over on the left side for the Castleford Tigers. He makes the initial break, and you look at Millington, he's involved in it. He makes that offload, stays in the frame. Junior Moores, he flings it back, a bit of a Hail Mary. And the prop forward who plays a stand-up shows all the balance that Stephen Ratchford can bring. You look at this break, Webster, who replaced Joel Monaghan. Your side's not weakened when you replace Webster for Monaghan. And this is an outstanding try, Phil.
Well, great militant, like one of those versatile power tools that can almost do anything and everything for you around the house. He does it on the field here, doesn't he? He's played half-back, he's played front rower, and he's just played as an attacking rugby league player who scored a very important try just before the hooter.
Until 6 minutes ago, the Castleford Tigers were looking at their biggest half-time deficit since they were tonked by Warrington on March the 18th. And things have just been transformed, and Gale to narrow the gap to just 2 points with this conversion, if he can keep his cool, and he does. And what a game we've got on hand in the second half. Castleford are on fire. 14-12 the score at half-time.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is entertainment. That was the magic weekend in 40 minutes. Fantastic stuff from two great sides. Warrington could go over for a try on the magical first 40 minutes here of game 2. Warrington 14-0 up. A Castleford Tigers come back towards the end of that first half. It's 14-12 as we rejoin our commentators, Phil Clark, Barry McDermott, Brian Carney and Bill Arthur.
Gareth Hewer ready to get the second half underway here at St James's Park. Game 2 of the magic weekend, and the ground still buzzing after the events that closed that first 40 minutes, when the Tigers really lit up this stadium, and they've closed the deficit to just 2 points now, and they really had looked second best for virtually 35 minutes in that first half.
I think you make a great point about the crowd. There's been a fantastic atmosphere from the start of the first game until now, and I can see that continuing all the way through to the end of Leeds versus Wigan. But these players will respond to that, create that atmosphere. I'm sure the players are revelling in what is a quality contest.
Well, there's not been a great deal of revelling at this stadium during the football season, of course. But there's plenty of revelling going on here, and there'll be plenty of revelling going on later on tonight in the fair city of Newcastle.
Well, at the moment, the Tigers' responsibility and concern is to make sure that they start the second half better than they did the first. That's gaining more ground when they've got the ball, and containing their opponents when they have it.
Paddy Flynn now on loan for the remainder of the season from the Widnes Vikings. Flynn. Springer. Here's McMeekin looking to get the pass away. Has come on so strongly, Mike McMeekin. Gale.
We've got some good back rows in the competition, but I'd have to say that Mike McMeekin, with the progress and development that he's made, he must be looking good for the end of season internationals.
It's Ben Curry's run. Lynham claims the ball. Ben Crooks' run. Gale's kick. Lynham collects, and then is collected by Milner.
It's the better end result, isn't it, when they've caught it? Castleford have controlled him a little bit here, didn't make much ground from where the ball was received, and that has to be a task, I'm sure, one of the goals that Castleford set themselves in the break, to deal with a kick reception better.
Gene Ormsby had a great opportunity in that first half when Warrington had the Castleford Tigers on the ropes. Ratchford did a great deal of damage in that first 40 minutes.
He's had a big game, Darryl Clark, both in attack and defence. He hasn't had too much to do when it's come time to run, and you see them darting runs out of dummy half from him. He hasn't had too many of those this afternoon, but he's had some real whack in his defence.
Here's Solomona bringing the ball back. Let's get some half-time news. Angela's down on the sidelines.
Thanks, Bill. Tony Smith is disappointed with the end of that first half as Castleford got the momentum, but he's very aware of the dangers posed by players like Luke Gale, who, given time and space, will want to take advantage of that, and he wants to continue to pressure those last plays of his with good line speed from the Wolves team. The Wolves have managed to win the ruck by and large in the first 30 minutes, and that's key again in keeping on top of the Tigers. They know they strike players in key positions, and the Wolves need to maintain their concentration to contain those dangers. Daryl Powell, by contrast, though, was pleased with how his team ended that first half. He wants this half, though, to be about composure, making the most of possession by doing the basics well. But some bad news for them. Ben Roberts has suffered an ankle injury. They're still assessing it, but it's very unlikely he'll return to the play this afternoon.
That is a big blow for the Castleford Tigers. Roberts just back in the side, in actual fact.
Looks
And
like
out.
Sorry, Bill. It looks like Paul McShane. He's took up that extra pivot role. He's been really good in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's been performing that role, and Webster gets the ball onto Solomona. Solomona cuts back in field. This time he's not flirting with the whitewash as he did in the first half. Junior Moore's in quickly. Gale, Springer, but a standing start for the Frenchman, and he's dumped to the ground and loses possession.
He's almost put into a dangerous position there. He's lucky here. The ball plays on.
McShane picks it up, but the referee whistles, brings him back. And that original knock-on, you think that was a dangerous tackle?
Very close to. Lost possession perhaps before he got there.
Yeah, it's sort of, when he gets up there, he's definitely, his hips are higher than his head, which is what certainly the disciplinary side of things look at. So, you know, it's not a good position to be in there. And luckily his arm's free to stop him falling down on his neck.
And it was his fellow Frenchman, Benjamin Julien, who played a part in that. We'll come back, though, to what Gareth Hewer saw as the offence in question, which was the knock-on.
Very interesting, the comments from Angela, both dressing rooms, talking about pressure on pivots. We spotted it, didn't we, in the first half. Luke Gale had no time to think and put his players on. He's had that luxury over the last couple of weeks, and that's why he's been playing so well.
But the pressure on the ball carrier here when he's carrying it forward. Castleford's defence markedly improved from the first half.
Clark, Chris Hill now, and Hill.
It's 20 metres from the big man. They're big carries, them.
Typical of him. Still just inside their half, and Curry. That's the fifth tackle. And in the end, it's a good set defensively from the Warrington Wolves. They'll be pleased with that. From the Castleford Tigers, rather, they'll be pleased with that, restricting the Wolves' progress.
Well, the Tigers actually took time away from Kurt Gidley, who hurried his kick. Some good work from the Tigers. It's their time to gain momentum early on in this set of six.
Cook plays the ball. Massey. Incredible bounce back from that dislocated kneecap from him.
I thought it was astonishing last week. You know, we don't make enough of those players.
Solomona, but Julien, and they really are keeping an eye on Denny Solomona. And he's forced to bring the ball back in field. Gale onto Gadwin Springer. Mitchford and Curry making the tackle. McShane, here's McMeekin now. McMeekin onto Crooks, and Crooks causing the Warrington defence to scramble across on the last, and Gale is able to get a cross-field kick in. Solomona will challenge for it and get the ball down. Has he managed to score the try? Denny Solomona.
There's a scuffle on the ground. When the ball was collected and when players hit the ground, something has happened to fire up Denny Solomona.
I think, Barry, it was a wrestle between Gidley and Solomona to get the ball on the ground. I don't know that he initially grounded it, but I think before the tackle was complete, he might have got the ball down, but in doing so, there seemed to be a bit of friction between himself and Kurt Gidley. That was my first take on it. The ball didn't go down straight away, a little bit of a wrestle on the ground, but Solomona seems confident he scored a try, and no doubt will go upstairs.
Gareth Hewer, with the aid of his touch judge, reckons a try has been scored by Denny Solomona. But Richard Silverwood, the video ref, is going to have a look at this.
Yes, well, it's the crossfield kick, so hopefully everybody on side. Yes, certainly from that, there's nobody in front. So it's all on the catch and the grounding. Certainly Solomonan's got hold of it. The fair contest, both jumping for the ball. Solomon is in possession, gets the ball away. I think he's still got his possession there. Oh, I'm not so sure. Does he have his right hand on that ball? Yes, I think he does. I thought he'd come away from his left hand. I think the ball's in his right hand as he spins round from the contact with Lynham. That's the interesting bit there. If he loses possession there and it's Gidley who gets his hand on the ball, then that will be classed as a knock-on. So that'll be the telling frame. Because if the ball comes loose and Gidley's touched it, it's classed as a knock-on. So he should see from this. Does he lose the ball? Is his hand still on it? I think his hand's still on the ball.
Yeah,
and that's down. That's a try.
That's a try. That's the angle, isn't it? That shows it's a try, in our opinion. Of course, Richard Silverwood. It's all that matters to you, Brian, but not in this case. I think it's a try.
I'll go with you. I think it's a try, and it's just probably just check a little bit of contact between the two players afterwards.
Oh, it's
that's what he's reacted to.
Yeah. He's caught one there, hasn't it?
That could be interesting, Stuart. What's the procedure here for the video referee? You're going with a try, but
well, they'll go with the try. He'll give the referee that information. It'll be up to the referee to deal with it as he sees fit.
Castleford Tigers, if this is awarded, have turned round a 14-0 deficit and lead in this game, and Solomona has helped them do that with his 17th Super League try of the season. And another piece of artful finishing.
Well, there might be teams with more skill in Super League than the Castleford Tigers, but they don't demonstrate it on game day. The passing, kicking and catching of the Tigers is the best in my opinion. They've deserved to score a second fantastic try here through an accurate kick and an amazing catch where he gets the top of Tom Lynham, does as well as he possibly can, and remarkably grounds the ball. It's a fantastic comeback from them. 48 minutes into the game it's taken to get ahead, but boy they deserve it. They hung tough when times were hard, and they're hoping here now with a very difficult kick from the side. Luke Gale can add two more.
Couldn't be much wider out, Luke Gale, but he's given it a chance. He's missed. And now then, Gareth Ewer is menacingly striding across the field and looking for Kurt Gidley.
Well, this is an important moment, Bill, because as we see Solomona get up and ground the ball, that's the try score, and that would be considered a foul on the try score, Stuart. The decision should be...
Well, it should be an 8-point try. He's just had a word with Kurt Gidley about putting the forearm in Solomona's face, so I'm not really sure why we haven't got another 2-point kick in front of the posts that would have extended Castleford's lead.
Right. We've got an error there in the system and the awarding of that. We still have Castleford in front. I want to make a point about Luke Gale's kicks. He asked the very most out of his catchers. Ben Crooks in the first half, and Denny Solomona then. He puts it right on the try line, and he forces his catchers to sprint as fast as they can, leap through the air, and they've been able to deliver the goods twice now in this game, and twice it's delivered a try.
But what tremendous character from Castleford. If my maths are right, they've scored all their points by 12 minutes after being behind 14-0. They've now swung it back to 14-16.
Well, that Gidley tackle, if you can call it that, on Denny Solomona might lead to possibly a little bit of retribution somewhere along the line, because Castleford obviously felt that it wasn't dealt with adequately. That, though, will be dealt with by Gareth Ewer, because the ball was stolen as Junior Moores came rumbling forward, and the shape of this game, the momentum of this game has altered completely.
It's completely swung in favour of the Tigers. It's down to the little things. Junior Moores, that's why he's so difficult to handle. He's got good balance, he's got good footwork, keeps his leg drive, and the only thing that Warrington can do is try and hold on to the ball and slow him down that way.
Got a great chance here, a great chance to score back-to-back tries. They're flowing with confidence. Gadwin Springer and his team here now have got 5 more players, about 10 metres or so from the line.
Springer, the former Catalan player, his former coach Lauren Fraser, who watching on and must be impressed with the contribution he has been making in this game, as has this guy, Ben Crooks. But he won't make any progress there in the face of Curry's tackle. Milner. Here's Nathan Massey now, and Massey dumped to the ground. Morgan Smith, the youngster, making the tackle for the Wolves. Gale skips away from the first challenge, over the top for Jake Webster. Webster will take him on single-handedly. Gidley again involved. And And this time they stop the Tigers just short of the try line. Solomona gets the pass away to Gale. It's back with Gale. Now with McMeekin. McMeekin, ball in one hand, and ball over the try line for another sensational try. What about this lad? From Basingstoke to the top of Super League, Mike McMeekin. What a performance this is from the Castleford Tigers, and the Wolves are shell-shocked as they group up behind their try line. The game has turned around, 14-0 down, and Castleford score again.
Well, the Cas Tigers, they split the Warrington Wolves. They shifted it from right to left. They had numbers, couldn't get over the line, then they came all the way back down the other end of the pitch. Here's the ball steal, big Junior Moores, and it's King who pulled it out of the grasp of the big fella. That's at the point where they'd had a look at him on the left. They go all the way over to the right, and the growing influence of Luke Gale during this game is evident. And that's a wonderful finish from Mike McMeekin, who has the Warrington defence all confused. They don't know whether to go in and tackle him, stay out for the potential offload. This is quality, Phil.
Well, it's from Basingstoke to big time, isn't it? He's got the skills and he's got the size. So hard to stop when he swings that ball around like that. Holds it as if it's a tennis ball. Goes over. Look, can't believe the way the match started. They've now got control.
Former West London Shark. Now look where he is, Castleford Tigers hero. Those fans standing at that end of the ground and applauding their team, who looked, they were on the ropes for the first half hour of this game.
Gone, Bill, gone out of the game. Half an hour into this game, there was only going to be one winner. And look at what the Castleford Tigers have produced. 51 minutes into the game. And I'll tell you what, I'll predict a Warrington save before this game is out. This game, watch this till the very end, because there's another twist and turn in this.
They're not done yet, Stephen Ratchford and the Warrington Wolves. But they haven't had any possession, really. Castleford have dominated possession, and they've put it to the best possible use. Warrington just need to get their hands on the ball and turn the tables. Sounds simple. And Gale, if he kicks this, will be 22 unanswered points for the Castleford Tigers. Just shy of the posts.
Well, the communication, Bill, or lack of it, between Stephen Ratchford and Toby King on the left edge for Warrington will be subject to inspection by Tony Smith and Richard Agar come the video review. You would imagine Ratchford is communicating and telling King to stay out, but King himself, as I said, he's got to take responsibility at a certain stage, and he's got to say, this is too late, too near our try line, I've got to come down and shut Mike McMeekin in. Because if he drifts off as he did then, Mike McMeekin was always going to get to the try line before Stephen Ratchford was able to bring him down. But the centre will learn. He's only young, he's got a lot of years ahead of him, and he's a bright talent and a bright prospect, but they're one of the tough learning lessons you have to go through.
20 points for the Castleford Tigers in the space of 16 minutes either side of half-time. The momentum really with them, and Ryan Bailey is penalised.
Well, Castleford through Junior Moores again. They earn themselves another 20-30 easy metres. That's just in front of this huge following from Castleford. As we look to our left from the gantry position, behind those sticks, it looks completely dominated by orange amber shirts.
It is Castleford. I think that is Castleford. They've come en masse. The town has come to Newcastle. It's a huge following.
Springer. And just remember that the Tigers have lost Joel Monaghan, injured, Ben Roberts injured in the course of this game, and that might handicap them later on. Webster is bursting through, gets the pass away to Cook. If we found Dawn, it could have been a different story. It's Junior Moores who plays the ball. It could still be Dawn, but Dawn is tackled by Kurt Gidley, the two number ones in opposition. Moores, Gale puts a crossfield kick in, but this one is well played, no danger then for the Warrington Wolves.
Brilliant catch, isn't it? Here's now about the Wolves, the challenge to make the ground and play the ball as quickly as they did at the start of the match. Keeping bodies on for them. It's Russell again, isn't it? He runs it forward like an American football running back, tries to gain the yards, but he's held and contained.
There's a bitter rivalry between Castleford and Featherstone, and the player on the ball now will make those Featherstone fans feel a little bit warm and fuzzy. They can remember back to the 70s, that great second rower, Peter Smith, played for the Featherstone club and Great Britain with such distinction. That's his grandson.
Well, he's here today, Barry, isn't he? I think he'll believe he's here today. I spoke to him, he said Morgan Smith's been sleeping well before these big games. He's playing for the first time. He said he hadn't slept for 2 days before Morgan Smith's debut.
Paddy Flynn claims that kick. And there's Paul McShane, who's a great organiser. Ben Crooks.
Danny Tickle there now, met by that aggressive Warrington defence. Chris Hill, Ashton Sims.
Springer now. Sims among the tacklers. Cook just lost his footing as he approached the halfway line. Beautiful pitch here at St James's Park, and a game and a half gone, and it's hardly showing any wear or tear out there as Russell claims that ball.
And I know we said it last year, the staff and everybody involved, they're glad to have everybody here. Everybody's having a good time. They've been good with us, and we hope for the same for the remainder of the day, and better still tomorrow.
Ormsby, mob tackle from the Tigers. Warrington, you've got to recover, but they won't recover like that. Coming up with the error.
Well, that's the difference in it on the big stage. Those little decisions make a big difference. He picks it up with one hand, Morgan Smith. Reminds me a lot of a young Bobby Goulding. You played with Bobby Goulding, very confident player. Take the game by the scruff of the neck, and this 9 or 7 Morgan Smith, I think he's got the same qualities, Phil.
Brian McDermott and the Leeds Rhinos in the grounds, awaiting their turn on this pitch. Last up on this first day of Magic Weekend 2016. They kick off at 7 on Sky Sports 3 to round things off, and they take on the Wigan Warriors. And can Leeds turn things around and produce an upset? Because here come the Tigers with Solomon. And Solomon gets his second of the game, and this game belongs to the Castleford Tigers at the moment. Warrington have got no response, and Denny Solomona ghosting outside Tom Lynham, finishing with nonchalance for his 18th of the season. And this just takes some believing. This takes some believing, and Warrington are among the disbelievers at the moment.
Well, it's the players who decide at the end of the season who's the man of steel, the best rugby league player in this country. And the way this guy's scoring tries wouldn't surprise me if he wins a vast percentage of the votes. This is a brilliant try from a scrum. It compressed the defenders to give themselves the space, hoping that their speed could help them score, and they execute it absolutely perfectly. It's a brilliant try. So few score from scrums these days, but the passing, the timing, and ultimately the pure speed from Denny Solomona, I mean, that's one of my favourite tries of this season, never mind this weekend.
Phil, that's Junior Moores who's playing at 6. Plays in the back row, plays on the edge. Such a big man. That's the reason they compress that defence, to deal with the big man. And they've managed to find the space. I know you're a big fan of players from scrums asking questions.
Well, they've got not just backs who can pass, but forwards. Last week it was Graham Millington. Dal Powell's coaching of catching and passing must be one of the best we've got in this country.
Gale not had the best of afternoons with the boot, but he lands that one. And since being 14-0 down after half an hour, the Castleford Tigers have come powering back to lead here by 26 points to 14. And Denny Solomona, that's 11 tries in the last 7 games in League and Cup now for the Castleford Tigers winger.
Well, I was surprised that they have the shirts off and celebrate. Not only was it an extremely entertaining try, it might be a very crucial try in the context of this game.
Do you know, this takes me back, I'm sorry, to seeing the Gallagher end at Newcastle on a steaming winter's afternoon, freezing cold, and the Newcastle United fans with their shirts off, and the steam coming up from the Gallagher end as they, in those days, cheered their side to victory. Well, they're seeing some entertainment here, those Castleford Tigers supporters.
Oh, come on, Bill. Nostalgia's not what it used to be. We're on about now. This is a fabulous game.
Absolutely, that's what we've been saying. The Fun Police have obviously cracked the whip.
Well, sport's supposed to make you smile, and the Castleford supporters are loving the time here this afternoon now. It was tough to begin with, but they have control as you approach the hour mark.
Or what do you do if you're top of the table, Warrington? You're now trailing in a game that you look to have sewn up after half an hour. What do you do if you're Tony Smith? What do you say to your players?
I don't think you can say too much to them. They've got to have a common goal to get those little bits right. Not being too hard on a younger player, but it was a small mistake at the play of the ball that gave possession from a scrum. That's just that one try, of course. But they're struggling to control the ruck speed. And Paul McShane, I think the bench has made a big difference. Gadwin Springer, Big Matt Cook. Obviously Jake Webster, he came on for the replace Joe Monaghan.
Warrington a bit rattled at the moment as Gale drills that ball deep.
I don't know, Brian, to answer your question whether Tony Smith can send many messages on. He almost needs Aquila, the leader of the Wolfpack, Chris Hill, in my opinion, with his strength and cunning, just come up with something and work his team back into the match. It needs individual moments of brilliance here now to ignite Warrington's hopes and passion for the game again.
Who?
Aquila.
What number's he got on?
Aquila Uate, winger for Newcastle.
He must have seen the Jungle Book.
It's Chris Hill then. An hour gone. A fantastic hour of rugby league. Warrington on fire early on. And Castleford penalised. Now this, if Warrington can get on a roll, then we could see another turnaround in this game. This might not be the end of the drama.
Well, it's very rare a game will go all one way. It's bound to go with you, against you. And moments like that could just mean the balance swings towards Warrington Wolves. What can they do with possession and position? Well, they can drop the ball. That's what they can do.
Can you believe that? Can you believe that? I picked it the same way as you, Barry. This was a swing in the game. And possibly the most experienced player on the field, the man you would look to get the ball in his hands at a time when you're under pressure to settle the ball down, settle the game down. That's well within the capabilities of Kurt Gidley to catch and draw that in, and it's indicative of the way the game is going for them since the 30-minute mark. But they've got to ride it. This clock is still okay for them. Scoreline's not their friend, but the clock is.
We've ended up with a penalty to Castleford following that knock-on. It's been ruled that Gidley was offside in front of Hill, and that's why we got the ball in touch.
Just rubs salt into the Warrington Wolves' wounds. And here's Junior Moores, who's done so much damage for the Castleford Tigers. He had a big game at Leeds last week, made 173 metres, and he's had a big game in this one. Only his second appearance since March, actually. That was high from Sims on Tickle.
Yeah, and another experienced player, an international captain for Fiji. And sometimes in games like this, when you start to take it upon yourself to make that difference, that's when you try too hard, things start going against you. And Danny Tickle, who's playing in the middle today, ends up catching one round his neck. Be happy to do so if the scoreboard stays the same. There's Ben Roberts, Rocky Hampshire.
It's a big decision here now. Have they elected to kick at goal?
They have, yeah. A call for the kicking tee. Is that a wise decision?
Yes, because that will take it. Is that 14 points, the swing? More than 2 scores.
I'm a Leeds Rhinos fan watching this. I'm feeling a little bit better about last week's performance. I mean, they were beaten by 40 by Castleford, but
I don't think they will be, Brian.
Well, I guess the point I'm trying to make is that they're hugely impressive, Castleford. To do what they did to Leeds last week, to trail by 14 points in this game and then score 26 without reply against top of the table Warrington Wolves.
Just goes to show how important the mental game is, the mental side of our sport. You can talk about it in percentages being 80% and 90%, but the physical aspect of our game is dominated by how we function and how we think as rugby players.
As Ian Proctor's just pointed out, how good must Hull KR feel after putting 58 points on Castleford? Gale just about head on to those posts, but almost 40 metres out and drills it home for another 2 points. 28-14. Warrington have got some work to do now if they're going to rescue this game.
They had no time and space in the opening 30 minutes of this game, Luke Gale. He couldn't manage the game, but from that point, what he's done, he's took control. When it's been time to make those passes, he's had help by the majority of his teammates, but when it's come time to make those passes and kicks, he's made good decisions under pressure.
And it just goes from bad to worse. And
well, he's lucky, Bill, because the referee hadn't blown the whistle to start. The move there from Warrington actually fooled the referee. He hadn't blown the whistle to start the game, and that's why he's got the retake.
And lucky with that, because that could have just compounded Warrington's problems.
You've got to see it from the Wolves now, Bill, in the next 5 minutes. Gidley's on the field, Ratchford's on the field, Clark's on the field, Russell's on the field, Curry, Westwood, Hill is on the field. The big guns are out there. If there's to be anything from the Warrington Wolves, it will come with those players on the field, and it will come in the next few minutes.
Tickle, Milner, and Castleford Tigers haven't got the job finished yet as Millington plays the ball. Cook now, nearing 200 career games, Matt Cook, as he takes the Tigers just over the halfway line. Milner, who's really grown into a role in the side since Darryl Clark moved on, and how ironic this is. Clark on the opposite side of the field today as Gale hoists the kick, Russell underneath it, plenty of time for him to gather that one.
Well, the kick chase team was a little bit further behind than I suppose the kick deserved. Is this an injury?
McShane made the tackle and then signalled, and Russell
yeah,
twisted something, I think, as he went down.
There we go. It's a lunging tackle followed by a clinch by McShane. Doesn't look too much in it. You know, when we do the big hits, me and Terry, you'd be surprised how many times Paul McShane is involved. We compile a list of about 20 from all the matches and we narrow it down to 10. But Paul McShane is in the mix every single week. Tremendous defender.
One of those was a punch-up with Sean Lunt.
Warrington with Gene Ormsby. Still time for the Wolves to rescue their Sir. Russell is hobbling off the field.
It gets harder without Russell, don't they? They were almost relying on individual brilliance to dig them out of the hole in the last 15 minutes.
There is the Wolves fullback, Ratchford. And Ratchford hounded by the Castleford Tigers defence. Gale and Milner in there on the last, and it's Gidley who puts the kick in, gets the kick away, but it was under pressure. Dawn Fields, and Paddy Flynn will run it back.
He's good at that, Paddy Flynn. He just tucks the ball under his wing and runs at one player. It's the polar opposite to the first half. We saw Castleford defending for their lives. All right, they shipped in a few points. They lost some energy, and it looks like Warrington now, who are lacking and missing a little bit of energy, and when they get the ball, they're not asking any questions of the Castleford defence.
Milner, good darting run from the Tigers hooker. Gale trying to keep the momentum going. Junior Moores, an outstanding game from Moores, just swats aside the defence. He's got some support, and Dawn gets his second in the game. But take your hat off to Junior Moores. They could not stop his progress, and he got the pass away, and the Castleford Tigers have left Warrington absolutely shell-shocked in this game. And Darryl Powell, Danny Orr, and the Tigers coaching fraternity admiring another great Tigers try.
Well, the big fella's on the floor, he's breathing in the big ones, he's put some big efforts in, some big minutes. and he runs at a smaller play. He knows that Kurt Gillett doesn't have the physicality to match his presence, his size and his power. But the impressive part of this for me is a right-handed carry, a right-handed offload, backwards to a supporting player, top-class quality, top-class skill. And Luke Dawn, as he does every single week, he backs everything up, he never gives up. And Kurt Gillett, who's a much better player than that, allows the big man into space, and another Castleford try.
5th try in the last 2 games for Luke Dawn. He's hanging his boots up, but he's going to go out with a blaze of glory at this rate. Is Luke Dawn. Great anticipation there, and Junior Moores, what a game he's had.
You know, I never thought I'd say this, but I genuinely see Castleford Tigers playing in the grand final. The way they've played in this game, being under pressure and behind, fighting the way back, the quality of the passing, the quality of the tries they've scored. It's a big stage. It's a little bit similar to the grand final in Manchester. Do you see that sense of
I agree with you, Phil, and you can argue that against Leeds Rhinos, who are struggling a little bit, it doesn't feel as good as Warrington, who for me are right up there with Hull FC as the best teams in the competition.
And Gale, 2 more points for him, and just down below us I can see a group of French gentlemen very, very pleased to see this result. The Catalan Dragons, of course, neck and neck at the top of the table with the Warrington Wolves and Hull FC. And there's some Dragon supporters. Their side will be in action tomorrow, taking on Wakefield. And what a game that promises to be. 2 of the form sides at the moment.
That should be exciting, Bill. That's one we can look forward to tomorrow. Just reflecting on that try that was just scored by Junior Moores, I'll say this. I was lucky enough to have the chance to play with Kirk Gidley at Newcastle Knights. He's a very talented player. He's represented New South Wales, Australia, and of course Newcastle Knights on a huge amount of occasions. But that attempt to tackle on Junior Moores for a player of the ability of Kirk Gidley was nothing short of dreadful. And it sums up the Warrington Wolves for the last, what are we at now, 37 minutes of this game. Kirk Gidley is one of the best players we've got playing around in this competition. He has faced bigger and better players than Junior Moores, and he's been able to tackle him. That effort was just not good enough.
Well, Warrington were hoping to bounce back after that defeat against Wakefield last week.
Well, you say that, they've gone into this weekend, the Magic Weekend, top of the table, and yet no, they've lost 5 of the last 8 Super League games. It is so unpredictable that in the space of a month the team can rise and fall dramatically.
Gale hoists the kick. Lynham is underneath it, but is relieved to see the ball go out of play. Yes, it does. Touch Joe has his flag up.
The jump very high. Is it Luke Dawn, is it?
It's Joel Monaghan back on the
back
field.
on the pitch. Lee sneaked back on. He's renowned for doing that. He's a back hyperextension, or just looks really ugly and uncomfortable.
Well, he's tackled in the air and he's come down over his knee, hasn't he? I think that's the problem, but you know, he's definitely tackled in the air on that one.
Thankfully, Joel Monaghan back on his feet, up against his former club. He got 145 tries in his 145 appearances for the Warrington Wolves. And he's going to be on the winning side against them at this rate. It's 12 minutes to go. And Warrington, after that dominant first half hour when they had the Castleford Tigers on the ropes, have not really had a look in this game, and they have not been able to cope with, well, this is classy Cass. This has been some superb tries from the Tigers. Here's Ashton Sims.
There you go.
Sims pass and Gales.
I knew that was coming, Bill. I knew that was coming, because in the opening 5 or 10 minutes Ashton Sims threw 3 of them. Do you remember me saying he's got to be careful? He's trying to fix things up. It's admirable that he's trying to fix things up, but with the lack of energy that Warrington have got, they're always very risky. So he's not looking. He plays with the intellect of Luke Gale. They know and they preempt that Ashton Sims will offload that ball, and he gobbles it up. He says, thank you very much.
Gale, a mere stripling compared to that guy, Ashton Sims.
Brilliant, Luke Gale. The energy he brings to a game. He can raise the tempo of his whole side. He made one break in the first half. The disappointing thing for Castleford, there's nobody with him. Luke Gale gets anywhere around dummy half. Expect him to go, expect him to run. He should always have support. Brilliant player.
Milner. Here is Gadwin Springer. He's had a big game. Castleford looking for more points. Monaghan, how he would have loved to have got that one down. Couldn't do so.
They created the space, didn't they, Castleford? Unfortunately, Joel Monaghan drops the ball. The referee, Gareth Ewer, he wants to take a look.
He just wants to check the restart. Could be a difference between a scrum or a 20-metre restart. Well, I think there's the knock-on. Yeah, it's come back off Stephen Rashford and it goes dead off him. So the knock-on was in the field of play, so we should get a scrum 10 metres.
Yeah,
well done, Stuart.
Joel Monaghan's original knock-on, with the try-line inviting.
I'll give you your due today, Stuart. You've got more right than you have wrong, which is something to celebrate.
Getting better then.
Look at that. The Castleford fans are in good voice. They're having a fabulous day. And I wonder whether, when they turned up to this game, I wonder whether they believed they would get a result, or whether they thought it might be a tough day against the top side that can attack and score tries from anywhere.
And certainly the first half hour it looked as though it was going to be that story. And then came that sensational try, and Castleford never looked back.
Well, we've mentioned everybody except one of the most important people, Darryl Powell. His influence on that club, the culture of that club and its players is evident for me. I was lucky enough, I played with Darryl, and I also was coached by him when he was a Leeds coach, and he always understood the game. And what he's doing, and he's mastered it now, he's getting the absolute 100% best out of all his players, and that surely is coaching at its best.
Warrington lost on this ground to St Helens last season. The ball's gone backwards there with Gidley, so it's back-to-back defeats at this venue, and they were doing all right in Manchester. That ball has been knocked on. They were desperate to try and keep it alive. Julien couldn't take that. Grubber rolling around by his toes.
Well, one man doesn't make a team, as Stephen Ratchford attempts the chicken chase. But since Chris Sandow got injured playing at Wigan, the Wolves have won just 2 of the next 6 matches in Super League. Of course, assuming that they're going on to lose this with a 20-point gap. I can't see a comeback in the few minutes we've got remaining. I don't know how quickly the physio doctor can work on Chris Sandow, but at the moment I think their supporters will be desperate to see him back as soon as possible.
They've got to be able to win games with Gidley, Ratchford in the halves, Russell at full-back and Darryl Clark as a hooker. As many a side in Super League would like those 4 pivots in your side.
Castleford would like them. At the minute they've only got 1 pivot on the pitch. Yeah. 1 pivot and 2 hookers.
Well, I'm hearing from a Warrington source that Chris Sandow could be back very soon, possibly next week. Which will be a big boost for them.
Webster's just cutting through.
Do they play Leeds next Friday? Leeds against Warrington at home. Another tough game for the Rhinos.
Joel Monaghan tackled 40 metres out. Gale. Milner. And it's come back to McShane, who goes for one and puts it wide of the posts.
Well, our mate Steve-O jumped out of his seat then. He wasn't far off Paul McShane either. Left-footed kicker. He took his time, probably had a little bit too much time. He's had a fabulous game as well. You can't find a bad performer in a Castleford shirt today. Great team performance.
Shane was hoping that he'd got his first drop goal of his career there. Not to be. But with 8 minutes to go, 7 minutes, doesn't look as though that's going to be that crucial. Warrington led 14-0 here, 34-14, 34 unanswered points from this Castleford Tigers side.
I want to know what the boys think. We see
Curry with a great piece of skill. Could be some defiance here. Clark. Webster gets a hold of the boot, and then they get the penalty as Webster and Clark. Well, they might have been former teammates, but there's no friendship there.
Absolutely not. There's no friends in the other shirt. And Darrell Clark, who's tried his absolute best today, he makes a break. He's tackled by McShane. Ben Curry, the rest of the Warrington players and Castleford players, they come in and they try and get involved.
I think it's Paul McShane, isn't it? One hooker on top of another hooker. He dives in again here late. Won't get off him. One's trying to get up, the other's trying to stay down. Great play from Ben Curry, wasn't he? He's tried his best and shown wonderful skill. Darrell Clark thinks he should be released at that point. Jake Webster possibly holding and twisting his ankle so he couldn't get to his feet.
I don't think he was twisting his ankle.
Was he not?
I think he was just
twisting his leg up.
Just trying to stop him getting to his feet.
Twisting his biscuit.
He twisted me melon, man.
You're in Newcastle.
I'm always in Manchester.
I don't think it's anything other than a penalty for the original offence here.
Clark's okay. Thumbs up from the physio. And it's a Warrington penalty. When they can get the ball back, and the Castleford Tigers aren't in any hurry to hand it back to them. There it was on the try line. So they'll tap this and try and drive their way through to at least finish this game positively. And Gidley might draw there, or he won't. The ball goes to ground, and that sums things up, I think, for the Warrington Wolves.
Sums it up for the Wolves, but it sums it up for Castleford as well. There's enough bodies, they're flinging themselves anyway. On that occasion, it's Webster who bites in. I think it's Morgan Smith who takes it to the line, and then he springs off his right foot, flings his body in the way of Kurt Gidley. It's just not the day of the Warrington Wolves, but I can't help but salute the character of this Castleford team.
We're 14-0 down, you give up 30 minutes on the clock, and then you're against the top team in the league and you rattle back with 34 points. It is a magnificent comeback.
Well, you would have thought last week was a season high for them, but this almost tops it today.
I think this would have to fill. I know there's the local rivalry between Leeds and Castleford, and Castleford have gone to Headingley and they've gapped them by 40 points, scoring over 50, which was a huge night for the club, considering they'd come in on the back of some pretty bad Super League form. But this is special here at Magic Weekend.
And they've still got a lot of home games to come in the remainder of this first part of the season. They've only played 6 home games, the Castleford Tigers, so far, so they could.
Well, the Castleford fans, they need to get their tickets early. Could be rocking at the Jungle.
Oh, McMeekin blots his copybook. Scrappy end to this one.
Ben Crooks, wasn't he? Tried to pick it up.
Ben Crooks, he wants to get in on the action. He's had a solid day defensively, and it's just out of his grasp.
You forgive him that. Remember, it was his leap and catch that instigated that try.
Well, he's another
for
player
Luke Dorn in the first half.
He's another player. He's gone to Australia. He's learned and developed his trade. His defence this year has come on leaps and bounds, and we used to see him when he was a Hull FC player catch our attention for what he did with the ball, but I think now he's matching that with some defensive effort.
Westwood's lost that ball, and it's another hand in from the Castleford Tigers. Milner it was, says Gareth Hewer. So another penalty. They can't complain about a lack of possession late in this game. Oh, thundering tackle from Paddy Flynn. And that's left young Morgan Smith wondering what hit him. But there could be in here. McShane puts himself in the way.
He knocked that down, Paul McShane. He did enough to save a try.
Ben Curry's a creative player, though. He plays on the left-hand side, number 11 on his back, picks it up, sees a 3v2 opportunity. They don't quite get over. 3 attackers, just 2 defenders. And the defenders, here's Paddy Flynn coming in on Morgan Smith. I think they call that a ball and all tackle. There's everything he could throw at it.
That'll get him, Brian. Will you be happy with that one? You like Eddie, you?
What? Did you
got anyone legal tackles in the
Head and feet.
Not necessarily. I'm not defined by rules, Brian. You know that.
Oh, dear me, Darrell Clark. That ball simply squirted out of his grasp. No, there was a hand in there, says Gareth Hewitt. Darrell Powell down on the sidelines.
I've said it before, Bill, I'll say it again. Darrell Powell, Danny Orr, Ryan Sheridan, the intellect and rugby league IQ there is all combining to make Castleford Tigers a fabulous side to watch.
Well, the head Tiger purring at his side's performance for 60 minutes of the game. First half hour belonged to the Warrington Wolves, but since then the story has been of the Tigers' talent, and talent will out.
Forward. A forward pass from Warrington. Gene Ormsby, he has to reach forward. I think it's Stephen Ratchford who collects it from Morgan Smith. He's trying to find the winger outside the Castleford defence. He hasn't got the skill to match his ambition. Such a comprehensive performance. If you scratch off the first 25 minutes, Tony Smith will look at the first 25 minutes and say, OK, we can handle that, but what happened after that we need to really fix up come next week.
Well, I think the Tigers now just want to play out the final 2 minutes, avoid any injuries. Although, as I say that, Paddy Flynn does seem to have been twisted awkwardly in the tackle. Could be alright.
Gets back to his feet. Tickle now.
Well, the Tigers fans just waiting for the next game now to see if who can win that, I think.
Well, there you go. I think you're right, Phil. I think that could only make their day absolutely glorious to see their rivals go down. Tremendous game coming up next.
Wigan Warriors up next for the Castleford Tigers, and if you want more of this, Sky Sports next Thursday evening. Well, if you want more of this, Sky Sports tomorrow. If you want more of this, Leeds against Wigan coming up very shortly. It's Magic Weekend! Great celebration of rugby league. Not so much a celebration if you're in a Warrington shirt, but if you're in or out of a Castleford Tigers shirt, plenty to celebrate. Jordan Cox plays the ball. Here's Ashton Sims. Sims gets the pass away. It doesn't stick. And that's been the difference. It's stuck for the Castleford Tigers when they tried it. Here's Clark now. Milner, his former deputy, makes the tackle. Clark just holding that left ankle. We saw him involved in the tackle with Webster earlier on. Here's Curry now. Curry chips the kick in, and Flynn will just shepherd that one away from trouble.
Well, there you go. Every picture tells 1,000 words, I'm sure. Darrell Clark, it won't be just his ankle that's hurting. It's been an awesome display from Castleford Tigers. Fully deserved victory.
Smiles all round, and well might the Tigers coach and his players celebrate, because they have put on a truly magical performance to rescue this game when it looked as though they were in for an almighty pummeling from a fired up Warrington Wolves side, who raced into an early lead, 14-0, but since the half-hour mark, tries from Dawn, Millington, Solomona, McMeekin, Solomona, and Dawn again.